Welcome back to the Chosen Life podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan A. Hacohen of Kormans LLP and Bible 3.0 author. I wear a lot of hats, and I'm actually trying to get rid of some hats this year, and I want to wear less hats, but quality hats, if that makes sense. And a man that knows about wearing hats, good friend of mine, good friend of the firm. I've known this man now for close to a decade. Austin Keitner, Keitner Group. When I think Keitner, I think luxury real estate. Austin, welcome to the Chosen Life.
Thanks for having me.
So we connected. We were at a Buzz conference, if I'm not mistaken. You and I. It's funny. We've even when you were in Toronto full time, we never really see each other together in person. It's always virtually and on the phone and everything else. From the second I've known you, Austin, it feels like your life is go, go, go. It's like I never know what location you're going to be in. We have to do a sign up or something. Your life is on the road. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think you've helped me close like 8 of my own personal transactions in the last 10 years. And every time it's because I've moved physically. So yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm in the real estate business and have easy access to properties and easy access to moving and just enjoy real estate. Or if it's because I get bored and restless in the same location. But yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of movement.
I feel like you and I have a very similar mindset. It's the idea of as soon as I start to get comfortable, I need that uncomfortable feeling again. I need that edge. I need that challenge, If I'm too comfortable, life is too simple, I go bananas. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think being uncomfortable is kind of how I think about it. I think life is lived in the uncomfortable zone. When there's complacency and comfort, then I feel less alive. So yeah, I am trying to feel more alive more often. And, sometimes I bite off more than I can chew, and there's learning lessons in that. But overall, I think we're here to experience life. And by getting outside of our comfort zone, this is for me anyway, by getting outside of my comfort zone, I do feel like I'm living life or feel more alive during those times. Do you feel the same way? Is that why you...
I would say, I've always said that throughout my life, from the time I can remember from being in grade school, I always needed a personal goal and a professional goal. Not just one goal, let's say, but I needed a big picture, long-term goal. I'm always working towards something. If I don't have that big goal drive, that big idea, I feel stagnant. I feel like I'm not working towards something. I don't like that feeling of just doing it day to day and putting my head down and getting it done and getting all the tasks done without feeling like I have a bigger purpose to what I'm doing. I'm working towards something. I feel like all those little things are giving me the ability to be able to work towards the big picture. And there's times, and I remember when I reached points in my life when I didn't have that big picture, and I lost it. Like I had anxiety and depression, and I was in a bad place. And then I remember driving to work one day. I talk about it in my book, but I was driving to work, and I was blogging at the time, and I called up my head writer and I said, you can take over the blog today. I'm done. I'm not writing anymore. I've made a decision. I marinated on this. I am not going to write about life. I'm going to live life. And he goes, so what are you going to do? How are you going to go live life? I said to him, I'm going to go sign up today. I'm going to find a studio near my work or my home, and I'm going to go do yoga. And I'm going to go to yoga all day, every time. And I'm going to figure out from yoga, being there, I'll figure it out. Like the direction will come to me because I have nothing now. I don't see the stars. I'm not aligned. So if I go and practice enough yoga from what I've read, I will get healthy. I will get physically better. And mentally, I will figure out my path. So if I can't figure out that path, I'll just go do more yoga. And it worked. It really worked, And actually right now, it's funny. I have a life ambition goal. So I can share with you. I can share with the audience, actually, because I know you're going to appreciate this as we get into your story. But I went out to Cookstown, Alliston area. There's a place out there where there's a meditation retreat. It's called Vipassana, VIP, Vipassana. And in Vipassana, you go and if you want to do it and go and do a silent meditation retreat, the rule is they have 1 day, 3 day retreats, but you cannot do the 1 3 day unless you do the initial course. To do the course, it's 10 days. 10 days. You hand over your phone. There's no phone. There's no internet. There's no laptop. There's no TV. There's no radio. You're not talking to anybody. Nobody's
I've
talking to
heard about
you.
this place.
And you're going to go. You're going to eat. They're going to provide you the food. You're going to meditate. There's a schedule, a very rigid schedule from 6:30 in the morning until like 7 o'clock at night of when you're meditating and where you're meditating. You can go for walks, you can sleep, and those are the four things you're doing. And last week, I'm working with a hypnotist right now, and I said, you know what? I'm going to stop making excuses. I can do this for 10 days. Nobody needs me so much that I can't go for 10 days. So I put myself on the waiting list in March. If they accept me, I'm heading for 10 days of pure silence. It's time. I'm going to live the life I want, not the life I wish I could live, but I can't, and I'm too busy and I can't afford it, and life is this. No. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's it.
And did you do it?
We'll find out.
You're on the list.
I signed up on the list last week.
Oh, no way.
I finally did it.
Oh,
I've
good
been
for
saying
you.
now for 5 years
That's
that I'm going to do
huge.
this.
Yeah.
5 years I said I'm going to do this. And you know where it occurs to me the most? When I'm sitting in a client appointment, or I'm talking with a friend, or I'm calling up my mother, especially my mother, and you'll talk to the person and they'll say, "Oh, this is bad, and this, somebody wronged me, and oh, I'm so stressed, and help me fix this. This screwed up. What do I do?" And I feel like I listen to that all day. The thought of nobody giving me a complaint for 10 days, all day, every day.
Yeah, you're just stuck with your own thoughts
Yeah.
and your own mind's complaints.
Yeah.
And then you get to observe them and override them and notice that they're just popping up and that they're not really yours. I think that's the best way to probably be aware of your thoughts and what's happening in there.
I as I've grown over the years, I've become friends with my thoughts. We're good friends now. Like
That's huge.
my thoughts don't make fun of me anymore. They don't ridicule me. They don't make me feel bad about myself. We work together on this. And if I like the thoughts, we work harder together. If I don't like it, I tell them that they can leave now. They're not wanted. That took a lot of years, a lot of patience. It's called meditation and yoga. That's where I found it.
So you'll do well on a 10-day no talking retreat then.
I don't want to leave. I want to stay longer, for sure. Listen, I might as well be a monk while I'm there.
We
as
won't
well.
see you ever again, will we? After that.
There was a show, Silicon Valley. I don't know if you've ever seen it. A great show from the day. Anyways, and one of the guys, he went off to he made all his money, and he went to go find his direction, and we never heard from him again. We don't know what the heck happened to the guy.
Is that right?
Yeah. And the guy that he was a jerk, he was ridiculing and everything else. The guy paid him back by taking over his identity and taking his house and his assets. But that's a story for another day. So it's funny because right now I'm into Prison Break and Lost. I'm rewatching these old shows, and they have like a very interesting style of how they do them. So I want to do that today, actually, because usually, when you're watching a movie or show, they show you the beginning and they work their way. And otherwise, they start at the end and flashbacks and then work our way to the beginning. I want to do that because I got to ask you first and foremost, man. I am curious to know your history and where you came to be, Austin. But to know where you came to be, I got to know where you're at. And I'll never forget that call one day when you told me, "Yeah, I'm going to pick up and go from Toronto. I think I want to go be free up north." How did that come to be? Why?
Well, it kind of happened by accident. We have 4 little kids, and during the last lockdown of COVID, the year before, we had hired a teacher to work at our house and homeschool our kids when the schools were all locked down. And we had some of our kids' cousins come over, so we had like a little pod, and they learned in the mornings at our house. And then the next year the schools opened up in the fall, but then they shut down again in the winter. So we didn't want to go through all of that bullshit again of coordinating that. But I had heard about an outdoor school in the Blue Mountains, and we go up every winter to ski on the weekends. So we were going back and forth anyway. So we just decided let's ride out the rest of the school year up there. We don't have to come back down during the week. We'll just ride out the school year. We were building a house in the city at the time, so we were just going to let the house get built. We were going to let the kids finish school up there. We were going to stay up there for the ski season, and then we were planning to come back. But the kids really liked the school. We really liked the community up there. We liked that we could ski during the week. It's just outdoor recreational. If anyone spends time in the Blue Mountains, it's just a fun place to go. And it felt like I was on vacation every day, even though I was working there full time instead of working here. So within a few months, we bought a house, and so far we haven't looked back. Now I just come back to the city once a week or twice a week or once every few weeks, depending what's happening and what time of year it is.
We were talking off the air about our mutual love of The Simpsons from back in the day. And I was talking about one episode with him, Homer coming back to the power plant after he had left and found his dream job, etc. But the episode now I'm thinking of is how he never wanted to go back to New York City. His family wanted to go to New York. He said, I don't want to go to New York. I had bad experiences in New York. And as soon as they forced him and he came back, all those memories came back, people honking their horns and yelling and throwing things. I feel like Toronto somewhat is like New York City. Like if you leave it long enough and you come back and you drive downtown and you congestion and people honking, you're like, yeah, I remember why I left now. You ever get that feeling?
Yes, I mean, with the traffic, yeah, I don't think anybody likes traffic. In fact, I think people in Blue Mountains are overall happier just because they're not in traffic. But I also like the city too. Like we came back on Saturday and stayed at a hotel and we got to do stuff that you don't get to do in Blue Mountains because there's just not like a nightlife. There's limited number of restaurants. There's no karaoke bars, stuff like that. So I like the best of both worlds. But now that's the home base. We have young kids, so like they're mostly outside and we need them to be running around and stuff. And then we come here for like a vacation or for that kind of part of the lifestyle that we like. But yeah, no, just home base for now. Like life changes. Like we weren't planning on being there. Things can happen. Like I don't get too attached to anywhere. Like I said, we moved 8 times in the 10 years I've known you. Yeah. I don't get too attached to anything. I like to kind of roll with the punches of life, so to speak.
What is an outdoor school? Like, especially like in our climate, I can understand if we were living in California or Arizona, I could picture what an outdoor school would be like. What is an outdoor school like in this climate?
Yeah, they have a saying, dress for success. So it's very important that they're wearing the right thermals, the right, snow gear in this case, this time of year. They have fires going at all times. They all have indoor classrooms. Like some of them are yurts, some of them are buildings. Some of them are geodesic domes, but they all have an indoor component. Some of them are heated by wood fire ovens, but they all have an outdoor component too. So like right outside of their indoor classroom is the outdoor class, where they'll spend 80% of their day. Really depends on weather. Sometimes it's 100% of the day, sometimes it's less. But they've basically turned a traditional school inside out. So the hallways are pathways through the forest, and then periodically there's a new structure where different grades have their classes. And it's really cool because it's a small school. There's like 70 students or just over now, junior kindergarten to grade 8. Okay. And they do a lot of age education. So they'll do like reading buddies and they'll just help each other in different subjects. And they're all so close. Like all of the classrooms are relatively close. So there's a lot of community. Like on Fridays is called Wild Friday, and kids from public school will come just for that day, and they always do like a big group activity, and sometimes the older kids will be like helping the kindies, and they'll be doing like some kind of forest game, and it's the kindies and the grade 8s, and they'll be helping them through the forest doing whatever activity they're doing. They were just putting together the Santa Claus parade float, and the entire school got together, and they're all rolling stuff and carrying tables together and setting up the reindeer on the float. It's just an amazing community that they've built there. And it seems like the outdoor education, there's a lot of science and research on this now, but it seems to open up the children and get them, open to concepts, open to learning. They can move around a little bit. They're not confined to a desk and a chair for as long during the day. So it seems to be producing pretty good academic results so far too.
Sounds like Pioneer Village, like, going down to Black Creek Pioneer Village when they called it that. And what is the average class size? Would be like 5 to 6 kids?
Yeah, I think there's like 7 or 8 in most classes. Yeah.
So now I'm just picturing like you go down to, let's say, Yorkdale shopping mall, right? And you're watching kids from Forest Hill and they're coming on their lunch or dinner, what be it, right? And they're shopping at Holtz or wherever they are. Transplanting them to an outdoor school in Collingwood, I don't know how they'd react to that. It's funny. Like, is this something like where your kids like, are they naturally like outdoorsy because of the skiing and everything else? Like, were they excited about this, or did you take them dragging and screaming from Toronto?
Well, I think they were so young,
yeah,
that they didn't know much different. Our oldest was in grade 1 at the time, and she didn't really like her school. She didn't like the teacher, at least. at our school. And then the other, like the two boys, one of them was still in preschool. So he never liked going to any school. He seems to be okay with this one. And then our other boy, pretty easygoing. So he was okay at either school. But they were so young. Like they didn't have enough time to know any different. It might be different if you're taking somebody out of their current school with all of their friends and then going to this hippie outdoor school.
Man, when I was in grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, if I could have gone to an outdoor school and had that kind of community, I would have left in a second. I would have loved it. Going to high school, public high school in Toronto, city of Toronto, man, it's hard. The numbers game, you got a big school, old facilities, not much community, going from class to class kind of thing. And it's hard. It's a really, really hard age. It's a hard segment. Man, I feel like if I could have done that, maybe I wouldn't be so shy today. Maybe I could have broken out of my shell a little better.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
who knows? I wanted that too. I would, me and a lot of the parents are jealous because we didn't have that option.
Yeah.
Me and the founder of the school, Jeff Barrett, we wanted to build the adult version of the Wild School and have it as a wellness composed of the education and the modalities being around wellness.
Yeah.
That's why we bought that retreat center. That was the vision, to create wellness in nature.
That's going to be next week. Yes, absolutely. Well, the most adult camps I've ever seen in my life was, first of all, learning to ride a motorcycle. So going and doing like the weekend or week course or what be it. And you're in this giant parking lot and you're all hanging out with adults and you're all just riding motorcycles. It really was camp for adults. It was one of the most fun things I've ever done. And, it's safe. It's in the parking lot and everything else. You have the instructors there. It's not like you're going out on the highway or anything like that. But I found it that way. Also doing yoga retreats, finding a 1-day weekend retreat. They used to have it up in Kingston, Wolf Island. You take the ferry and they had a whole called Shanty Retreat. And they had the yurt and everything else and the cabins. And, that's like summer camp for adults. You're hanging out with adults with activities. There's designated schedules. They're feeding you. There's no difference in that and regular kids camp except you're adults, and I think adults need that more. I think they need activities together, bonding. You've heard of couple retreats, I'm sure, when couples go, to reclaim their marriage or what being, you see other couples. It's good bonding time. I feel like from COVID and how many people got isolated, started working from home, not going out with people, not rubbing elbows. It's hard. It's a lot easier when you're around people, for sure. So I'm very jealous. I wish I could have gone to an outdoor school. 1,000%.
Yeah. It's tough to get them out now because we are sometimes get an itch to come back to the city, but they seem to really like it. So we'll see what happens. They're still pretty young, but by the time high school hits, it's probably time to get into the real world, maybe.
Yes, and we're gonna be talking about this next week as we're gonna go and learn more about Austin Keitner. Like, you're a fascinating dude, man. Like, I could be having you for weeks and talking about the stories, I'm sure. As people get to know you as a realtor in the Keitner Group, and you've been in the game for a long time. I've always been curious about how you got into real estate, and you built the brand. We got connected through a mutual agent friend who was working with you, and now he's back apparently. It's amazing how life circle goes. And today, talking about your kids and where they're at and the move to Collingwood, there are a lot of people who have done it or thinking about doing it. As far as, I've lived in a major city my whole life. It's all I know. I've never lived anywhere different. I don't know if I wanted lifestyle change. Have you had other couples, professionals who have come to you since you've done what you did and said, hey, maybe that's for me, and picked your brain and seen the fit for them?
Well, first of all, it's nice of you to say all that. I don't think of myself as super interesting or a lot of the things that you just said, but when it comes to moving and changing your lifestyle, it's all for me, it feels like we were already spending time there, and it's only a couple hours away from where we are right now, from where I was living before. All of our family's still in the city. We visit often. I'm still working in the city a lot. So I don't feel all that removed. I think if we upended and moved to the Dominican or to Europe or something, I think that would be quite a bit more drastic. And that's not out of the question either. Maybe high school is in Europe. Who knows? We have no Panama. Yeah.
A lot of Canadians in Panama.
Dominican, I hear, is a pretty awesome place
it's
to
opening
go.
Up.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, most of our friends, and there's an amazing community. It's all expats. It's all people from Toronto.
Yeah.
with young families. Our youngest daughter somehow has is the most popular, and like most of our friends are her friends' parents. And I think that they're all from different parts of the city, 100% of them. So yeah, and you know, we have some family that also spends time skiing up there, and since they've bought places, they haven't moved full time per se, but they're spending more time up there because they have a place now. So yeah, I think people are realizing it's an awesome place to be. It seems to be one of those energy centers, like Sedona, Nassau in Costa Rica. Um, these are places that have like a high. I think there's a website that measures or shows the measurement of the electromagnetic field of these places based on, I guess, the composition of stuff that's in the earth, like the minerals and the rocks. Um, and Blue Mountains is high on that energy scale. So I think it seems to attract people. Like it's probably because there's a lot to do. Like there's fun and recreation and private ski clubs and public ski clubs and a bunch of golf courses. There's the bay and like beautiful beaches, really clean water. Like I think there's a lot of natural phenomenon that people are attracted to, but it also seems to be an energy center that attracts like-minded people.
As I end today's episode, and man, we got to bring you back next week, please, because I got a million questions for you. I know the audience is going to have as well. You're a guy that I know the brain doesn't shut off. There's 10 million ideas because when I hear about it and I hear the latest scheme or the latest venture that you can see for yourself, it means that there's 1,000 others, and this is the one you want to go into. You ever think about going into politics? You ever think about seeing yourself as the mayor of Collingwood one day?
No, I had thought about it, but it's definitely not my personality profile. I don't want to have to go kissing babies and schmoozing at cocktail parties 5 nights a week, or even close to that. Like that's just not my vibe, and I think that's a big part of that job.
But it's amazing you thought about it.
I've thought about it, and I've actually been offered to be backed up by counselors in the city, and I seriously considered doing something like that, but I just realized the lifestyle's not for me. I'd rather be like a family man and spend time with my kids and work on my business and stuff.
I also looked into politics. I thought about it. Yeah. And do you know why I don't want to do it?
Why?
What's the most important thing you have to be able to do in order to be in politics? If you want to make it to any leadership role and you want to be further, you want to be premier, you want to be prime minister, what is the most important trait you have to have?
I don't know.
You're going to hate this. Ready?
What is it?
The ability to raise money. That's all it is.
Right?
The more money you can raise and people want to give you money, you will get further ahead.
Right.
It's not your personality, it's not how much change and better you can do the world. It's how much money can you raise for the party.
Right.
That's all it is. It's all about money, 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 do, re, mi. So not interested. Somebody else can go get that headache. Not for me. Austin Keitner, Keitner Group. We'll be back next week on the Chosen Life podcast. We're going to talk about this wellness center and find out, man, how did the most interesting guy freaking get into real estate in the first place? Stay tuned.